Okay, I'm at full throttle. I've been idling, sitting here calmly for a few minutes, gotten ourselves up to almost 40 degrees centigrade. That's about 102. We're still sitting around 6.5 volts, which is where I wanted things. And there's a sliver plume of smoke coming out with a very slow speed fan. And that's just to keep us cool on the temperature of the heater. This temperature is the temperature of the chip. 60 is the bad number, okay? So we're sitting here, and you can see it's warming up. And I had 59 at one point earlier. I'm not sure if I sat here long enough it would go to 60. The heater started out, by the way, at 25 degrees dead cold at 8 volts. So as the resistance gets near zero, it would get up to 8 volts. So what I thought I would do is just go ahead and take off. It's probably going to continue to warm up a little bit here. The voltage is dropping as it warms up, which is a good sign. That's what it's supposed to do. This is a 10 ohm thermistor. It's not my favorite, but it was what I had when I had to rebuild this lid. As you can see, the lid looks like a tar baby, and it kind of is. It's got insulation and sealant all over it to keep the leaks down. The heat sink seems to be working beautifully, and it fits perfectly. So I'm pretty sure I'll be able to fit all that in there. I'm going to have to do some insulation on these wires. I had to do some rerouting, cutting some boards, shortening and lengthening, blah, blah, blah. But we got it in there. I feel pretty good about all that. We got the firebox going. I put on the 2 lights in the back, and they work gorgeous. We have to find a way to thread them down. I think I can get that, take them off the wire nut and thread them down from the top. That'll work. So we're at 48, going up to 49. If we keep going, well, the temp's dropping. See that? 6.2. Maybe I'll just pause this and come back and see what it looks like. It's creeping still down 6.12, but it's also creeping up 55 volts, 55 degrees centigrade. So I'm gonna pause it again and just keep an eye on things. It's still making a reasonable amount of smoke. This is at full volume, or full 120 miles an hour. So I'm just gonna see as it gets to 60 what happens. Okay, I'll be back. Well, it went over 60, and it's still climbing very slowly, but it is climbing, and it's still dropping at 6. I don't know. The other thing I can do Okay, I've let this sit, and it has right at 59, 60 volts. I mean degrees. It's at 6 volts, and I'm sitting it at 60 miles an hour on the transformer, which is about 14, looks like 12 now, 12 volts at 60. So that's dropping the power. So the guidelines for you guys will be, if you're running idle and you want to sit an engine on the side, you can have the firebox and you can have the smoke at idle. It'll be a reduced smoke, but you should turn the power of the track down to 12, 14 volts, something like that, not full power. And that way everything will stay. You'll stay below the heat range. It's warm to touch, but I can touch it. And this guy is warm, but I can touch it too. So I think this is where we want to be on if you're just in routine running mode. So what I can do right here is just start taking off maybe and see what it looks like for us. If I can get its attention. There we go. So you'll see a pretty decent plume of smoke. It's easier for me to see it, and it does look nice. It's just low with the contrast that I have here. Voltage is starting to go up because I'm adding more air, and the heatsink is starting to go down because I'm using more voltage rather than forcing the chip to bleed it off in heat. Oh, and the backup lights are both flickering red. That means we're going forward. You can hear the chuff sound. You can see the chuff smoke. You really can see it. Maybe I'm in a bad light. I don't know. There you go. There you go. There's chuff. Okay. Let's pull out. Let's go somewhere. As I pull more voltage in for the heater, the temperature of the chip is dropping, so we're fine. Idle is where the chip is going to take the beating, okay? So if you're going to sit idle in the station for a while, turn the voltage down, okay? Here we are at 6.3. We're getting some smoke. Now I'm a little nervous that the air flow is going to cool off, and we may not get the heat back. You may get a thin smoke at this power level, okay? At 60. I'm going flat out at 60. So I'm really draining the heat, I'm draining the voltage, and the voltage is starting to drop. So I'm going to crank this up. I'm going to crank it up to 90. Okay, I'm going to crank it up to 90 now. Temperature increased to 6.7. Smoke has increased. We still got a tail of a leak. You can see it right over that white connector. A little wisp. Somebody is leaking on me. Okay, we're just under 6, well, just over 6.5 volts. Still 52 degrees. So the temperature, operating, the temperature is not a problem. It's at idle. Okay, so now I'm going to go all the way flat out. 15 volts. Flat out. Still good smoke. Maintaining about 6.5. I could probably bump that up if I wanted to a little bit. Temperature's fine. Smoke looks fine. Okay, so now I'm going to hit the brakes. Bring it to a halt. And we're going to sit here and idle. We're just idling at 120 at full power. You can see it. It's holding. I'm surprised it's holding. Now it's starting to cool down, I think. The new design has repositioned the thermistor. And I'm thinking the thermistor is further away from the airflow so that now it's not reacting to the temperature differential as it did when it was in the heat, in the airflow, I mean. It's still against the furnace, it's still against the heater physically, but it's not cooling down with airflow as much as I thought it might, or as much as it did. Now this is a 10 ohm thermistor, a 10k ohm, excuse me, and I was using a 30, so I'm running out of supplies. I'm going to have to order some more thermistors. They're not expensive. I just don't know exactly if I want to get a range or still another assortment. It looks like I'm going to get an assortment, maybe a 10s and 30s. See where that goes. They operate differently, and I have the adjustments. I can deal with it, but I'd like to get a handle on a range that works for everybody. But as you can see from an idle point of view, it's dropping, volts dropping a little bit. Temperature is starting to climb a little bit, and that's what we expect at idle, right? So if you sit here too long, it'll get hot on you. So let's pull out again and see what happens. Those are the backup lights. They're white. As you can see, we're going in reverse. I have to adjust my little lever or my cam one. In back, going in reverse, it hits differently. I don't know what's going on. Now we're really blowing a lot of air through. I may have lowered the heater just a shade too low. I mean, I lowered it a considerable amount. As you can see by the opening is wide open now. Before it was half blocked or more. So maybe I'm going to have to bring it down again or push it up. Well, it operates, it's okay. I'd like to have a little more smoke. I'd like to have a little more temperature at the higher speeds. But I think I can adjust that in. We're still pretty decent with this. As long as we don't, if we don't sit too long, change directions. Hit the change direction on your Lionel controller, and that will stop everything and put it in the reverse direction. Or forward if you're going reverse already. Then you see the temps start to increase. As they do, the thermistor is saying, I want to be colder, so we're pulling down the voltage as the temperatures are going up. And here is the fact that chip is warming up. It's bleeding off more voltage, more amperage. It's creating watts and dissipating all of that as heat, but it's doing it now through this fairly massive heat sink, former shower frame. Pretty exciting, huh? Okay, I'm going to say this is a win right now, and I may come back to it, try to get that little extra bit out of it if I can. Not going to lose sleep over it. I feel pretty good about it all. I think it's down to the minimum possible right now. Yeah, it's down there. Yeah, if I do anything, I'll shut off the smoke. Okay. So, in this case, we bring it down to 60, and right away, it starts to drop. take this down to 60. When you're idle, voltage goes below 60 and you're getting 6 volts. So you get the 666 thing. If you're idle, remember to do that. If you have this idle and you have another engine and you need to run it at full speed, maybe just take it to 90, okay? Or just at 90. That will run your other engine fairly well and allow this engine to stay pretty cool. Well, I shouldn't be heating up. Now it is, but not as much. Okay? You'll learn. It'll be fine. You need 2 engines with the TMCC before you have to worry about it too much. We'll get you there. Okay, I'm going to button this up. I'm going to post it because it's so long. But I feel really, really good. I think everything's going to be fine.
How's that track look? Are we clear? Over. Negative. Hold your position. Over. Roger that. Out. How's that track look? Are we clear? Over. Affirmative. The track is yours. Over. Roger that. All clear. Out.
Getting ready to fly off. Could just take off. Okay, so let's watch the smoke. And I'm going to go from 90 to 120 and see if we get an increase in the volume that we can see visibly. We got an increase in speed. It looks like you might have gotten an increase in volume. Not much, though. All right. Hit the brakes. Okay. That's where we are, pal. I'll set this up. You can take a peek. And what I'm going to do now is start to work on the wiring of the tether, which is where I wanted to be Saturday. Now it's 3 o'clock Monday. Damn it. Okay. I'll work on the tether, clean all this wiring up, get things taped up, put the way they want to be. I'm going to give you these prototype pieces. I'm going to take a lot of pictures so I can make them again, but I'm not going to have time to. I don't have the parts to make more parts like that right now. So if anything happens, I'll send you new gear as an update as we go forward. And it's just 2 wires and 4 screws. You can't mess that up, so it'll be fine. I'll send you a video if anything needs to be worked on, all right? Okay, there we are. We're getting it. We're just not quite there yet, but we are getting it. See you guys.